Welcome to another edition of Thought Leaders Live, where we talk with thought leaders in business, life, and all points in between. Today I'm joined by John Ray. John is going to talk to us about how to be paid what you're really worth. Very excited to have you join us today, John. Thanks for coming on the show.
Greg, thanks for having me. This is terrific. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah. So glad to have you here. John helps consultants, attorneys, coaches, fractional executives, other expert service providers confidently price and value and grow their businesses through trust-based proposals and authentic business development. And what we're really going to get into today is how you can confidently price your work based on the impact you create, not just the hours you spend. So I'm a marketer, and this really hits at a problem that we hear so much with people in terms of it all comes down to price. Consultants struggle with this all the time. So really excited to get into it. So John, why don't we start out with a little bit though about you, your personal journey and professional journey, how you got to this point.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I spent a big part of my career on Wall Street. Please forgive me for that. Um, I I was active in a lot of different aspects of that world. Uh, Everything from securities analysis to M&A advisory to strategic advisory to um, private equity along the way. And in all of that, when I finally left that world and left corporate um, and got out and started my own investment or my own business advisory practice, what was apparent pretty quickly is I didn't know how to price. In spite of all that experience, I didn't know how to price. And I did what a lot of people do. You go out on your own and you look at what everybody else is the way that they are pricing, and you benchmark to them. And if you're like most people, you discount because you're new, or whatnot. And here's the problem: when their prices are inadequate, yours are too. And what I found is that most people don't price adequately to the expertise um, that they carry and the outcomes that they generate for their clients, the value of those outcomes.
Right. So I think that's so funny because it just people always look at what are my competitors charging? And I mean, like from a marketing perspective, I always hear people say they look at their competitor's website and I'm like, and they judge what they want to do. I'm like, what if your competitor is wrong? What if they're doing all the wrong things? So, why don't we talk a little bit then about what the impact is of pricing incorrectly?
Ooh, that's a great question, because that is you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, that's part of the problem with pricing is you don't realize what's being left on the table. Um, uh, so I think the first thing to point out is that pricing is the fastest way to affect your bottom line, either positively or negatively. Changes in price have an outsized impact on your bottom line. And this is not my opinion, it's an accounting fact. So, all the CPAs out there that are listening will agree with this. Um, and that's true if you're in a product business or if you're in a service business. Now, if you're in a service business, um, a, a big portion, if not all of that change falls to the bottom line. And so if you cut your price too much, you can put yourself out of business pretty quick. If you raise your prices and you have strategy around raising your prices, it will have a dramatic effect on your bottom line. So that's, I think, the part of it that we're missing a lot of times as business owners because we have all this help out there, Greg, for like marketing, for accounting, um, and accounting's different than pricing, folks. Uh, for how we handle some of our processes in our business, but there's no place to go to help understand, how to price and how to think about pricing and how to make it a strategy. And that's what got me passionate about it.
So tell me a little bit about why the conventional wisdom is wrong. Like you said, most people will think about what do I want to charge per hour, and I confess that's how I do it too, and that's how I've priced in the past is,
Mhm.
gee, what do I want for my hourly rate? That's not the healthiest way to do it, is it?
Well, no, and the key words there are hourly rate. I mean, that just pricing by time is part of the problem. Um, so, in fact, I have what I call the red flags of inadequate pricing that are symptoms of poor pricing, and hourly pricing is one of them. Here's the problem with hourly pricing, or just one of the problems with hourly pricing, is that your expertise cannot be contained inside a clock, cannot be measured in a clock. And so you're really pricing the wrong thing. Uh, you're not pricing your expertise nor your impact. You're pricing relative to something that really is an input, and it makes no sense. And so, and that's a conventional way to price consulting services and accounting services and legal services and a lot of professional expertise based services in our world. So that's one big problem right there.
It's the old carpenter charges you $50 for the to fix a squeaky board, pounds in two nails and says it's $2 for the nails and then $48 for nowhere where to put them. That kind of idea, correct?
Well, it actually goes one place past that, all that. I mean, there's um, a similar story is, the fellow who comes, the mechanic who comes on the ship to fix the engine that's out, and he tightens one screw, and it's all engines working fine, and the ship's ready to sail, and he delivers an invoice for $10,000.
Right.
Um, and and it's like you gave me a you turned the screw and send me an invoice for $10,000, and one way to answer that question is, yeah, I mean, I knew which screw to turn. Yeah,
Right.
that's one way to answer it. What I would contend is there's an even better way to answer it than just the expertise answer. And that is, what was at risk if this ship didn't sail?
Hmm.
What's the value of that cargo that's not getting delivered on time? Um, what's it going to cost that ship owner if that ship doesn't reach the next harbor when it's supposed to? Uh, that could be millions of dollars. And so the fact that that mechanic is charging $10,000, I would contend that maybe that mechanic didn't charge enough,
Right.
given the impact he made for getting that ship out of that harbor.
So before we get to your methodology for how they should be charging, and maybe some tips on how to do that. I like what you said there about the red flag with the hourly rate. Are there any other red flags you'd want to point out before we get to some of the solutions?
Sure, several. One is you are charging the same price to every client. Now, that could be answered through hourly pricing, but even if you're not pricing by the hour and you're charging the same price to every client, then you're pricing inadequately.
Okay.
If you are accepting every client that comes your way, if your acceptance rate is 100%, you're pricing inadequately. Uh, so these are some other ones that are, uh, I think, key to showing that there's inadequate pricing going on. And see, a lot of business owners, they don't recognize what that their problem is, a pricing problem. They think they've got a marketing problem, or they think they've got they if they could just work a little harder, um, then everything would be okay. One of my other red flags is you're working too hard for too little money. So
Right.
so hard work is not the question. The question is, what are you charging relative to the value of the outcomes you're delivering? And um, so that's really what I try to steer clients toward, is a vision of that.
Okay. So I'm assuming that we're going to talk about how to value those outcomes and how to determine those so they're measurable. But why don't we segue into how to position and price your expertise based on those outcomes?
Well, the first place I think it starts for those of us that sell our expertise is what's in our head. And see, here's the problem, Greg, is that we've got this expertise in our heads that is highly valuable, but the next door neighbor up there inside between your ears, the next door neighbor of that expertise are all the mindsets that hold you back in your business. The imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
the mindset of inadequacy, of inferiority, of a mindset of scarcity, one that says, I want to help everyone. I just want to help everyone. So I want to price so I can help everyone.
Right.
See, these are mindsets that I call them the bad next door neighbor of our expertise, but because they're all right there in our heads. And that's what you've got to identify as part of the problem. And and really come up with a way to counter those mindsets that hold you back in your business.
Right. Okay. So let's say you can kind of quash that next door neighbor and get him on board with what you're doing. Maybe walk me through a little bit. Maybe you have a case study or two or some examples of how you've helped clients move to more of that outcome based pricing and what they did to change their approach.
Well, let's talk about how to get past that mindset first of
Okay.
all. I mean, the because that it's not it's not easy to quash mindsets about money and worth that you may have been holding for a long time. In fact, what the experts about this say is that your money beliefs are generally uh, hardened, hardwired inside when you're about 7 years old.
Yeah.
So you've got things that you're carrying around in your head that you don't even realize sometimes.
Rich dad, poor dad.
That's right. That's exactly right. So the way I look at it is you've just got to find a new place to lean. And I call it the generosity mindset. Uh, and for me, generosity is not giving everything away. What it is getting out of your own head and focusing on the needs, hopes, wants, desires of others first. And if you do that, what you will start to understand is you'll understand where they see value and how their vision of value corresponds to the solutions that you provide in your practice, that help them get past the problems they're having. And what you find, if you really dig into this and make it a practice, and make it a practice of asking great questions of clients, is that clients see more value in our work than we see ourselves.
Hmm.
What they what they see are, the relief that they're going to get. They see peace of mind. They see a better family life at home, and these are things that we don't necessarily focus on, because what we're focused on is how are we going to do what we're hired to do, right? We're focused on the deliverables, and we're focused on the the sweat and the process and all the things
Right.
that are involved in getting that work out for clients. And that's the mismatch we have to get past mentally.
Right. Okay. So, uh, focusing on the clients, focusing on the customers, always a good move. Never backfired on me yet. Never backfired on a marketer yet, as far as I know, unless you're focusing on the wrong clients,
Mm,
which you are.
yeah.
Um, let's say you get that, you get to that point. You you've identified what what your client really needs, what they truly value. Now, how do you price? What's the next step, John?
Well, yeah, it's certainly what they value, but it's where do they what do they see that being worth, right? I mean, so let's just say that, for example, that I'm a fractional CFO, and the project that I'm working on for a client, that I'm going to save that client $100,000, in their business. Let's just say that. So the question is not just the savings of the 100,000. Um, it's what is going to happen in that business because they've got an extra $100,000 of cash flow. It's like, so, Mr. Business Owner, what are you going to do with that 100,000 I'm going to save you? Well, I've got a salesperson that I'm want to hire that I really think is going to take our business forward. Oh, that's great. How much is that salesperson going to bring in, do you think? I'm hoping, given what I'm going to pay them, about, $2 million a year. Wow. That's that's fantastic. So what would happen to your business when you uh, have another 2 million in sales? Well, we'll hit the goal that I've had for a long time to get over 10 million in sales or what have you, right? Um, I'll be able to take a whole lot more time off than I would otherwise. Um, oh, what would that mean to your family life? You see, we don't ask these questions
Yeah.
as service providers. What would that mean to your family life? Well, my wife's always wanted to go on a cruise in the Mediterranean, and we haven't been able to do that. Oh, well, what would she think about if you came home and reported you're able to do that? What would that be worth to you? It would be priceless, right? So, see, here's the thing: we don't ask enough of these questions.
Yeah.
And when we ask these questions, then suddenly the $10,000 that we were maybe going to charge for that work, suddenly the willingness to pay changes for that client. It changes in a way that benefits us, and the client sees more value in us than than they would have otherwise, because we've been willing to ask those questions, and we've got the ability to charge much more effectively than we would have otherwise.
Now, being able to go through that exercise, and I truly see the value in that you're actually quantifying some things and providing them with a vision of what you can ultimately deliver, your ultimate value.
Hmm.
Now you've got an issue, however, though, and I always hear this like, okay, yeah, that sounds great, John, but how do I know you can deliver it? And is your pricing in some way, is there some way you can absorb some of that risk? Because I don't know for sure you can do that, John. I mean, it sounds great to me. Yeah, you've got some case studies, but I'm not really sure you can do the same thing for me. What do you do with that? I mean, there are some pay for performance models I've seen out there. What do you recommend, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is yes, those are out there, and um, you know, I think if you are at that point in a conversation where uh, someone's you're that deep in a conversation and someone's questioning your ability to get the job done, there was a disconnect from the very beginning. It may have started before you even walked in the room.
Mm,
So it's highly dependent on how you got there to begin with. Um, if I get referred to Greg, then my trust in Greg is riding on the person that referred me. And that person, I have high confidence that they're looking out for my best interest, or I wouldn't be sitting here in front of Greg, potentially wanting to hire him. Um, so if there's a pushback, uh, that the converse of that is, if I just contact you based on what have seen on a website, suddenly I don't have that same trust level, right? I mean, you may have a lot of content and other things that help me build trust, but I don't have the same level of trust. So the point is like, how did that client get to you to begin with?
sure.
And I think that really determines a whole lot about where you're going to end up uh, when it gets down to uh, the pricing and their willingness to pay.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Talk to me a little bit though, in regards to, and I think we could use that mechanic on the ship again, or the fractional CFO who is going to save you $100,000. You talk a lot about hidden value that clients are really paying for, that confidence, the ability to sleep at night, the clarity, the speed, the reduced risk. Tell me how the $100,000 savings, and I get the, okay, and I'm going to bring in the $2 million salesperson, and I see all that hidden value there. Is there a formula to say like I'm going to take point this sliver out of that, 5% of that? That's how I came up with this number. Is that kind of my fee? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a formula for that. Um, I think the question is, if you go down that road, then you've got to be really clear on the $100,000 and all the other amounts that come out of that. And um, so I I'm not real hip on formulas per se, but in general, what you want to be able to do is be conservative enough that even if that client receives only 50,000 in savings and you've charged them $10,000, let's say, for that project, that they've still come out ahead,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So that's what you want to make sure of is that even in the worst case scenario, that you're going to perform for that client and you're going to give them a return that's well in excess of uh, the price that you're charging uh, for that overall project.
Okay. So there is an element of this though where you're setting your targets, what you would like, um, how many clients. Let's use the fractional CFO. I mean, there is a point where you're kind of working backwards where you say, you know, I'd like to get, I can handle 3 clients. That's 20 hours a week. You kind of have your lifestyle set. Boy, and I think I could really help them. I could achieve all that. And yeah, I think they should be paying me X amount of dollars. I mean, you kind of have to start somewhere like that, don't you? And kind of get your lifestyle in order to kind of, figure out actually what you need to make your goals. I mean, where's the starting point, I guess is what I'm getting at.
The starting point is always client value. See, I really get nervous about these questions about what do I need.
Okay.
The client could care less about what you need,
Yeah.
frankly. I mean, they may even be great friends of yours, but they don't care what you need. What
Yeah.
they care about is, are you going to help me solve my problem? And so the question is, where, what's the value that clients see in what you do, and what is that worth to them, what's their willingness to pay.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't fit your lifestyle, um, then you may be in the wrong business,
Right.
right? So that's what it always gets down to, client value. And this is where I get a little nervous about. I love talking about what persp- uh, professionals are worth,
Mm-hmm.
but you're only worth what the clients say that you're worth.
Right.
And the question is how you get to that. And what I would contend is if you get to that, you're going to get paid more than what you think you're worth.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. So that's the magic of it, is that clients will pay you more than you think you're worth if you'll just get to that magic land where you're understanding where they see value.
Yeah. And I'm sure it doesn't hurt to actually be able to prove the value and show them the value and have that after you've, um, performed for them.
Well,
Um,
they'll tell you the value. See, that's the thing. It's not just about what I think it is. It's as much or more what they will tell me where they see value. What is peace of mind worth? What's relief worth? What's taking risk away worth? It's worth a lot.
tell me,
Um,
tell me a little bit about how you unearth that besides in the, you know, while you're working with a client, how do you generate that kind or extract that from them?
well, when I work with clients, the one of the first things that I do is I look at their reviews, their testimonials, their case studies. Uh, in some cases, we actually talk to their clients. Depending on the depth of our engagement, uh, the engagement I have with my client, we'll talk to their clients. And what you get out of that is you find out where clients see value in what they're willing to sign their name to, those testimonials. And it's never ever just about, well, they did the job. I mean, let's take a CPA for example. It's ne- you never see a review of a CPA that says, "Wow, that tax return was beautiful." Uh, you never see that. You see, this my CPA actually returns my calls. My CPA makes time for me. My CPA explains complicated concepts in a way that I can understand it. What clients bring up are intangibles.
Yeah.
And so that's where to start is what clients are already saying about you. So I see what I would encourage uh, folks that are listening to this, our conversation, to do is to look at their reviews and pull out those common themes of intangible value that clients see that maybe they haven't really focused on. Uh, so that's a place to start right there.
It's really good advice. John, we're getting close to the top of the hour. Tell me just a little bit about what the generosity mindset is about the book,
Mhm.
and then believe you have another one in the works.
Another one coming. Yes, and for probably out the first quarter of 2027. But we, yes, the generosity mindset. The subtitle of the book is A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. And it really goes in that order. It's about having confidence in the value of the work that you do. And the way you get that confidence is leaning into what clients see, like we've talked about before. And when you do that, it really changes everything about your business in terms of how you position your confidence in having a value dialogue with a client, and then how you price. And that's really what the book is about: is how you get past those mindsets. And then once you do, applying the generosity mindset to everything in your professional services practice.
It's definitely made my to read list, John, for sure. If someone wants to work with you, my friend, how do they do it?
Well, reach out to me directly. John at johnray.co is my email address. My website is johnray.co. And on that website, you can go to the books page and you can find out where to buy my book, The Generosity Mindset, which is essentially where all books are sold, either digitally or bricks and mortar. And I have on that page some free resources. So the red flags of inadequate pricing, you can download those and do some self-assessment on where you are. And also I've got sample questions on how to have a great value conversation with clients.
Fantastic. John, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. This has been fantastic. Great conversation. I appreciate the work you're doing.
No, thank you. And thank you for everyone tuning in, for joining us in another edition of Thought Leaders Live. We'll catch you on the next episode.